Welcome to The Walk-In, a podcast where doors stay open and stories unfold one conversation at a time. Hosted by Christopher Michael Sean, author, poet, actor, and lifelong student of People and Purpose. Here, you're more than just a listener. You're part of the room, part of the story. In every episode, someone sits down, breathes deep, and shares what drives them, what keeps them moving, and what keeps them dreaming. This is a space for dreamers, doers, and those still finding their way. So pull up a chair, pour something warm, and let's take a walk into the soul.
Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, it's going. I'm still getting over being sick, and my voice is still awful, but I have a dozen interviews this week, so it's like, well, the grind does not stop just because my voice wants to. So,
Yeah, everyone's sick right now. It's brutal.
I know. Everybody at work, I have to blame my coworkers because usually I only last like a day whenever I'm sick. Like I'm sick for a day and then I'm good. But I'm going on a week right now, and yeah, not happy about it. My mom heard me on the phone yesterday, and she was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah,
Yeah, they
everything's
can
great."
always tell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know you probably don't have a whole lot of time. We have our little Craig boy here. I just learned about him yesterday with Ziello. He was teaching me about this guy, so he helps. Instead of me having to convert files from MP4 to MP3 and then push them into Audacity. This guy takes the audio file and just sends it, like, I can just send it straight from him to Audacity. So it saves me a lot of time. So I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see how it goes. You're like my test subject today. It's going to be great. I
Okay,
have a
perfect.
I have a secondary my secondary recording going as well. So I'm not going to lose anything, I promise. Um so I don't know if you had the chance to watch any of the episodes. Perfectly fine if you didn't, but the basic rundown is we just hang out, we talk. I want to hear about like you and your passions and your dreams, and you've got a lot of awesome stuff going on. From what I understand, your story kind of started whenever like you were playing the violin kind of on the streets and street corners, and like you were like showing off your talent. And then I don't know if it was a dramatic video you made, but did somebody like offer you to play at their wedding or something, or how did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been playing on the street for like the last almost 10 years now, since I was about like 15. I grew up pretty close to like a park that a ton of buskers would play at. And so, growing up playing classical violin, like I was really drawn to that setting of like street performing because it's like so I was like, I can do that. Like it's a lot the pressure is not as much as like a, classical violin recital. Um
Right, yeah.
and yeah, so about I did that for a few years, sort of off and on during high school, like summers, pretty sporadically. And then when COVID hit, I was in college. And then I would make videos like in my house, but it was sort of like, you know, uh, here and there, nothing like consistent. But then when COVID hit, I was back home and I started posting regularly on Instagram. So I would post, I think then it was like 2 times a week or once a week, but I was doing twice a week for a while. And that was just to get my like recording, like mixing sort of chops in, like get my practice in, get my hours in. And so yeah, I mean, I would love just like recreating covers on the violin, and so I would do that. So I did that. So I started that 2020, and then I got my first wedding gig in I think the summer of 2022. It was. Um, for the following year, and she just reached out to me because she like had seen my Instagram, I guess. Um, and I don't know if like she was in Massachusetts. I don't know if she knew that I was from Boston, but yeah, so I played her wedding in June of 2023, I believe it was. And yeah, so I at the beginning, like getting gigs like weddings and events and stuff like that, it was very like kind of random. Like people would come up to me on the street or people would come across me on Instagram or, a violinist friend of mine like would have to back out of a gig, so I would pick up a gig here and there. Um, but so yeah, that's how I sort of started getting into, playing weddings, playing more, professional gigs, I guess, than just like on the street. But um
Hmm.
on the street is I mean, I love street performing, so I would be perfectly fine just doing that. But
I don't know if I have the nerve for that. I've thought about like with my voice acting and with my theatrics and stuff, going out and like doing some sort of street performance for my voice acting, but I've always been super scared of it, especially because like New York City's, it's big. It's got a lot of people in it. Um, but I'm going to New York City tomorrow morning around this time, so that's going to be exciting.
oh, dope. Where are you
Yeah.
going?
Uh, we're going to go see that big tree. I don't know. Me
Oh
and my friend
yeah,
are
I
going to
saw it
go.
last night. I saw it last night.
Yeah, we're excited about that. And I think we're going to go ice skating and a bunch of s- you know, podcast or acting related stuff. I think it's good every now and then to just have a day to yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Um, and especially because I'm still getting over being sick. I should avoid the cold, but I still like I like going to the city. I go to the city like once or twice a month, and whether it's for an audition or whether it's for like meeting up with somebody or posting little things like going up to a cafe. I've got these little printouts and for the podcast. I'm like, hey, give your dreams a voice. Let's talk, and I'll go to cafes and be like, hey, could you put this up for me? And they're like, yeah. I was out in Philly like 2 months ago, and it was a lot of fun. I don't know if you've ever been to Philly, but ever since I moved to the East Coast, it's been so awesome to just see all these amazing places over here.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry,
awesome.
I
I love that. No, that's dope.
I hate to distract you, but yeah, no, that's incredible, and your work is phenomenal. Um,
I appreciate it.
I no, like seriously, and it's so coincidental that the day after, so my friend Joey, he was actually my first episode on the podcast, first or second episode. He bought me my violin like the day before or the day that I ran into your TikTok, and I was actually a little bit emotional, and I was like listening to you play, and I was like, this is literally what used to relieve my stress. This is how I used to close my eyes, put the bow on the string, and just communicate, and that was the way I spoke my language. And to see you do it so fluently, and then with the pedal, and you play a couple of chords, and you go, and that's a track, and then you make another track, and then you make another track, and suddenly you've got a fucking orchestra that you've self-created. And I'm just watching your TikTok live like, man, that is so incredible. Your effort is phenomenal. And I'm just over here like, I don't want to like geek over this and be like, like fangirl over her work, but that's exactly what I'm doing right now, and uh it was incredible. So yeah, your story, it's awesome. You're from Boston, you said?
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in Boston. I came to New York for college.
Hmm.
And yeah, been here ever since.
Man, college during COVID, that's whenever I was going to college was in COVID. That was a rough time because what my college ended up doing is well, two things. First of all, uh all of my debt was forgiven a couple years after, praise be. But while I was in college, they were like, oh, excuse me. Like I said, I'm still getting over being sick, so I'm
No
sorry if I'm
worries. No, you're
gross.
good. You're good. You're good.
Uh that won't make the recording, I promise. Anyways, so um, my college, Oklahoma City Community College, I was going there for an associate's to eventually chase a bachelor's in psychology, which now I'm actually backtracking and going back to college next semester uh, for college. So I took a bit of a hiatus.
Oh yeah.
It's
What
fine
are you
though.
studying this time around?
Psychology. Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh
go
yeah,
after my
dope.
master's. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Uh,
I studied psych in undergrad too.
Yeah, I remember you were telling me about that. That was incredible. I was like, man, this this girl's just talented to the full brim of it. Um, yeah, man, COVID was interesting because like they told us that we had to start doing Zoom calls and everything got like kind of easy, but also like I missed just going to the college and like walking to different classes. That's what I loved the most. And like seeing
Yeah.
different people. Like I met a police officer from California. I'm like, why are you here in Oklahoma of all places? Like it makes sense to run into someone from California here in New York. Yeah, okay, everybody comes to New York, but Oklahoma? What are you doing from Cali? You know, unless you're driving through the state. But this guy was going to college. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. Um, so getting back to your work with your TikTok, not just your TikTok, your composing and your music, which is once again phenomenal. What is something that's like a goal of yours? Like you've already accomplished so much. You've crossed so many finish lines. You know, you're impressing the world already. I don't know if you've noticed, but even the small droplets that you're throwing out there, you're absolutely impressing the world. So what is a goal of yours as you stand right now?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, like in the last since I would say maybe September or October is when I started actually posting consistently on TikTok and sort of giving TikTok you know, all of my content. Cuz I was thinking and people have approached me, you know, like to play their wedding but people have also approached me to just they wanna walk down the aisle to, because 'cause I've been covering songs every week, for the last 5 years, so if people, like, they'll put into YouTube or they'll put into Google, like, instrumental cover of whatever song they wanna walk down to the aisle to. So people have reached out to me before to be like, "Yo, we came across your thing, like, can we walk down the aisle to it?" And so I would, sure, like I'll, I'd take commissions sort of off at random like that. But then over these last few months, I was thinking, well, God, there's obviously been like there's proven to me to be a market for this. Like over the last several years, I've been sending people recordings. And I haven't put out anywhere on the internet that I can do that. Everyone just reached out and it's like, "Hey, this is totally random, but, like, could you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." So I was like, "Well, I should just start advertising that I do that as a service, um, and, like, start actually getting clients that way," because I was thinking about, as I've been playing some more weddings, I was like, "Man, like, I really gotta," you know I work at a nonprofit, like, I live in New York. There's, just watching half your paycheck go out to rent every month is brutal. So I was like, man, maybe I should start gigging some more, start getting, you know, this income from my violin stuff really going. So that's how the whole like sort of switched to focusing on like providing commission like recordings mostly for weddings started. So you caught me pretty early on that in this kind of journey that I'm on of like pivoting and sort of advertising that. Because really prior to that, you know, I was just having fun, like fun. I just put out videos every week because it's fun and I like it. And it's like a great way to keep playing, keep, honing my skills with mixing and producing. And, I put out my own music too, but just keeping that like musical uh, thing like part of my week was really important. But so
Mm,
yeah, over the
yeah.
last few months, I did make that sort of switch that you kind of caught on to with this whole TikTok thing.
Yeah, no. And honestly, it's impressive to me that I get the opportunity to run into so many creative people like off of TikTok, like voice actors, painters, authors, composers, and I'm just like, I don't know, my FYP knows somehow that I'm just
Mhm.
looking for small creators. And I wouldn't even call you a small creator. I would argue that you're probably the biggest creator in our little community here. Um, you're doing a fantastic job. Like coming, and that's me. I haven't played for nearly as long as you have. I'm definitely not a professional like you, but I played for a long time. Music is very important to me, and we had a sound therapist on our podcast. Her name is Maggie. She was like our first 5 episodes. It was just like fifth or sixth, I think. And she spoke about how notes and music can affect the soul, and it can affect your mind and how you process things. There are some people that believe that music has a way of altering your emotions, or like maybe you were in a good mood, but then now you're in a sad mood. I don't think so. I think it has a way of bringing those emotions out, where like maybe you're in a good mood, but you didn't realize that you had an emotion pent up inside of you until you heard this song or played this melody. And that's what violin was always for me whenever I was younger. It was, I'm able to play this and translate what I'm truly feeling inside out into the world. And I never became a professional because, unfortunately, and I'm not going to trauma dump here, but I will say, uh, due to circumstances, my violin uh, was no longer in my hands, is what I'll say. Um, so, after years of playing, it needed a little bit of repair. It had a few, like one or two strings that were missing. The bow needed replaced. That's like $140, if that. And it was an Eastman string. It was, my childhood violin. So it hurt whenever, uh, well, someone threw it away, and it really, really sucked. But channeling back to you with emotions and music and composing, whenever you listen to your pieces and you're pushing for consistency and pushing for discipline and all of this, because like obviously we have to be disciplined. If you're going to be good at something, you have to be disciplined, you have to have routine, you have to have consistency. And what I've noticed with small creators is that consistency is the number one thing that they struggle with the most. And I say as if I'm not also a small creator. um, Consistency is a challenge for a lot. For me, I've done it pretty well. People actually look up to me. Uh, in some of my episodes, people have said, like, Chris, like your consistency with the podcast, with your auditions, with your open mic nights, that's what keeps me going. Whenever I want to quit, I see how consistent you are and I want to keep pushing. You've been doing this for years, every week. That is impressive. And whenever you listen back to your music and you listen back to the performances that you've had and the uh, weddings that you've done and such, have you ever felt your emotions be affected, or maybe even known that you needed to translate them? Like, have you ever had that emotional moment? And if this is too big of a question, completely ignore it. I'm just curious.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, I appreciate what I'll first say about the, consistency and discipline thing is like 100, like, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think like what I was really sort of early on like realized was that that's the only way that you can win in this like market of social media that's so oversaturated. Um, that's the only way you can get at like anybody to see you is that if you're just out there. And what I think I learned through busking was that if you don't show up, like, if you're not getting on that stage or you're not posting that video, like you guarantee that 0 people will see you. You guarantee that there will be no outcome. But if you just go outside, you just post that one video, like, I mean, it sounds cliche to say, but like, you know, that you're putting yourself out there so that maybe one person could see you.
No, exactly. It's like dropping a needle and dropping a match into a haystack every single day, hoping that one day it'll ignite. And it doesn't mean that. And if you don't drop the match in, it's never gonna, ignite. It's never gonna inflame. But if you go and you toss the match, you toss the match, you toss the match every single day, whether it's a video posted, whether it's a wedding that you're hosting, or whichever, you're going out there, you're putting
100%.
yourself out
Yeah.
there. Yeah. And consistency, I feel like it is a lot of going, okay, even if, and this is what I was telling Ziello in our episode that I recorded before, like it would have been 2 weeks ago, whenever this episode airs. Um, Whenever it comes to consistency, you just have to remember, even if you fail, let's say you're on a 5-year streak and you're down for a month, that doesn't mean it's over. That just means
Mhm.
you get to relive the most important part of your journey, and that is step one. And
Mhm.
step one is going back out there, stepping back into the forest. As scary as it may seem, you're not a stranger to the woods. You know them. You
Mhm.
know the plants and the trees. So stepping back into that forest and saying, "Hey, listen, I was gone, but I'm still here. I'm still back." Every time that I step onto an open mic stage and I try to perform, or every time that I record an episode, or I post on TikTok, or I go to an audition, and I feel the nerves in my chest of going, man, I hope that I'm like good enough for this. You know, that's my biggest thing. Everybody's like, Chris, you're so confident. You juggle so much. I still struggle with going, man, I hope I'm good enough for this, you know?
Mhm.
But you just got to
Yeah.
believe in
I
yourself. And
remember
I think you've aced that.
oh, I appreciate that. I remember seeing, I don't know if it was on some late night show or something, but the mom from Modern Family, she was talking in some interview about how when she first moved to LA, I think it was her. I could be confabulating this, but she was talking about how when first moved to LA, was going on auditions every day. Someone told her that, um, oh, you got to go on 50 auditions before you get one. And she, it's a funny story how she was talking about how she thought that that was like a rule. Like she was like, well, great, I'll just put in my 50 and then I'll get one. Like, so she sort of through that reframing of it was like, well, I just have to get my hours in. I have to get my numbers like of auditions done. And then like success will come to me. And the idea that like rather than saying you have to like fight through 50 failures, like you just get your numbers in. Like and eventually something will happen and you have to, like also finding joy in that in those quote unquote failures. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. No, no, failure is a necessary milestone on the pathway to success. If you want to land that audition, if you want to land whatever dream, whatever goal it is that you're chasing towards, you have to look at the failure and you have to enjoy it. You have to learn from it. You have to digest it. Don't push it to the side. It's not broccoli. You have to eat that. It's good for you. Failure is good for you. I mean, if you ignore the failures, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not taking the opportunities that the universe and that God is giving you to
Mhm.
grow. And I think that's incredible. Failure is a necessary milestone on the pathway to success, and that fuels consistency. Because whenever you do fail, you're like,
Mhm.
hey, I failed. Great. What can I learn from this? What did work? What didn't work?
Yeah,
You know
and
what
the
I mean?
world didn't end. Like we're all
The
still
world
here.
didn't end.
So
Exactly. And I love what you said earlier about, whenever, if you don't show up, that like, it's going to be zero if you don't show up. But if you do show up, you don't know. You have no idea. And if mentally you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get a million views or I'm going to get no views, you got to switch that mindset. You got to go, okay,
Mhm.
what am I going to learn from this? And how much fun can I have with this? Because you've got to be doing
100%.
something
Yep.
that you enjoy. Yeah, you've got to be doing something you enjoy. You've got to be doing something that even if you fail, you're enjoying it. You're having fun. You're growing. Because honestly, I don't care how much money I make. I don't care if this podcast stays as small as it is. But if I can see my goals met, and I know that I raise the bar every time I reach it, I reach a finish line and I don't celebrate it. That's something that I have to work on. Um, but like seeing you become successful, even if I have nothing to do with you, meeting you and then seeing you become successful, seeing Ziello become successful, Larimore, Maggie, Adeline, all of these beautiful, amazing people running their own little workshops in their minds. If I get to see them be successful and my podcast not make any progress, I'm fine with that. Because honestly, I would be like, man, look at you guys go, you know? Um,
I mean, I
and
think too
honestly,
like yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 you go ahead. Ladies first. Go ahead.
I was just going to say like, for you, I'll say like what on that day that you first reached out to me, and then I, listened to the podcast. It was some voice actor. I forget his name now. Maybe Matthew. But I was listening to his episode, on the subway, um, and it was just, hugely inspiring just to hear this guy like talk about, and I was checking out his TikTok and, listening to your guys' conversation. And so, like for you, like obviously, you have your own ideas of, as we all do, about what success means to us and what we're striving for. And obviously it's important to strive for more. But like, like that one episode that I listened to, like you inspired me. So if that's a win, like that to me is like a win in everyone's book, like everyone involved, like that's
No,
a
that's
win. Like,
incredible. No, I've mentioned this in a lot of episodes that the day that someone tells me that I inspired them, I can retire. So I guess I can retire now. I don't know who's paying for my retirement, but it's certainly not me. No, that's incredible, and honestly, I'm just happy to do it. I'm just happy to be here and be a voice for people, because what I think people forget is like they you go out there and you see these A-list actors and these supermodels with a bunch of edits done on them and like all this crap out here that's like you have to be this to be beautiful. You have to be this to be magnificent. And it's like, no, no, you
mhm,
don't. To be, and this is one of my words of Christum. If you've looked in that chat over there, one of my words of Christum is to be perfectly human. You have to be imperfect because humans are imperfect, you
mhm,
know? And it is finding these creators and inspiring them through their imperfections, despite them or with them, whatever they need. Let me be the lantern for you. Let me ignite your torch and give you the flame you need to keep walking forward. So, yeah, if I can inspire you, even once, to say, hey, I'm on the right path, I'm doing good. And you know how you know it's the right path? You know the number one way to know? If it's
hmm.
your path.
Yeah,
If it's
100%.
your path, because we see all these paths that are like pre-generated for us. It's like you have to do this. You have to get
Yeah.
50 auditions in order to get that one. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this.
Yep.
No, 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 no. Dina, you are already composing at the level of like Mozart. You are already composing in levels that if you were around 300 years ago, you would be a queen of some country that everybody knows about. You'd be the queen of England if you wanted to be. You are absolutely incredible. And I don't mean that to like sugarcoat it or make you feel like super special. No, I'm being completely genuine and completely authentic here whenever I tell you that. Like, whenever I listen to your music, and if I put it side by side by some of the best composers in the world that have ever lived, I can't tell the difference. Actually, I can.
I
Some of them
appreciate
I feel like you're
that.
better than. I listen to your music and I'm like, the God, and you were doing it on TikTok live. That's the crazy thing. You were doing it live. It's not like you had time. Like for me, I record this and then I go in and I edit it. Don't get me wrong, a lot of it is just throw it in there, put an intro and an outro because I don't like editing the in between. I like everything to be as authentic as possible. But if I get this time afterwards to edit it. But with you, like you're live on the street corner, you're in a TikTok live and you're showing them just the process of it of 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3, you're done. And it's like, whoa. That was I was amazed. I'm sorry. I was absolutely amazed to see you come up with an entire piece. And
I
it is
appreciate that.
inspiring to me. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think
Um
too what like busking has like, you know, that I think what kind of gets lost on social media a lot of the times is that like immediate feedback. Like you just kind of throw things into the void and you're like, maybe people are, maybe a person is being impacted by this, maybe they're not, maybe nobody saw it, maybe,
mhm.
whatever. But I think when you're able to get into those spaces of like being in person, whether that's, at a gig, at an open mic, at on the street, anything, you get to like actually look people in their eyes and like have a, human connection, which I think is super validating, which I think like that I've realized is maybe like the reason that I'm able to like feel like I should keep going because I know that any day I want, I can just go out on the street and like I'll be able to connect with people. And like
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that every person that walks by is gonna like That doesn't mean every person that walks by is gonna think I'm the best. That doesn't mean every person that walks by is gonna think I'm the worst. That just means that maybe some people will like, I don't know, will like look at each other and smile and like make eye contact, and maybe they won't give me any money, and that doesn't matter. But like
No,
I
absolutely.
don't know. It's just like I think that having those spaces, especially when like the creative, artistic journey has been so commodified into like the content creator side of things, like that can kind of get lost, that in-person thing, but I think that is like what sort of drives me at least to keep going.
No, absolutely. TikTok is very much so a tool. It's a resource. It should not be the only outlet. It should not be the main outlet for your creativity. Like for me, my podcast right now is probably the biggest outlet for my creativity, and it's we're posting it on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, obviously Spotify, and the analytics don't lie. We have a heartbeat. The podcast is breathing, and that's good.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I would love, it would be a goal of mine to go out and go to New York City, and whenever I go there, be able to speak to someone, be able to talk to someone, and hey, you know what? Let's do a podcast episode right here in the street. Why not? That would be
Yeah.
incredible, you know? Um, I think, yeah, whenever I go do open mic nights, whenever I go to an audition, and I'm putting myself there in a room of other creatives, other peers, and I'm like, okay, this is where my skills are really, really judged. Yeah, it can be scary if I don't get a part, if I don't get a piece. I could not tell you the countless auditions between voice auditions, film auditions, theater auditions. Hundreds, probably hundreds. I've gotten maybe a dozen gigs out of all those. And that doesn't mean I'm bad. Doesn't mean I'm good. Just means that I'm putting myself out there, and there might be someone who comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, you're incredible, and I love your stupid accents and your stupid voices. Let's go do something stupid."
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I absolutely agree, and I hope that as creative people, creative minds, we never lose sight of how important it is to connect with someone else in person, because you can do so much on social media, but to connect with someone in person. Like part of me, if we had more time, you and I, gosh, it would have been so incredible for me to like go to the city and us find a cafe and just sit at a cafe together and talk. Because
Yeah,
I was
100%.
like how often would I get the opportunity to do that? I've talked to people that are all over the United States, but every now and then, like it would have been last week whenever this episode airs with Adeline. She came in and did like a soul reading thing, which was kind of cool. She drew a
Mhm.
flower, which is apparently what I am. I'm a very flat flower. I don't know what that means. I know, I'm kidding. You got to listen to the episode. She actually brings out a lot of cool stuff, but there's a bit of trauma that comes out of it. I don't know if you're. I don't want to trauma dump on you, but that's what that episode kind of came out as. But anyways, um,
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
anytime you're in the city, you just hit me up. We'll find somewhere.
No, listen. Okay, tomorrow I'm there. We'll go. No, I'm kidding. That's way too soon for you. I would not do that to you. But no, like absolutely. And I love cafes so much. I don't even buy the coffee. I love the vibe because it
Mhm.
reminds me of like what I imagine this podcast. If I'm true to myself, then I would love for people to come in and they feel like they're walking into a cozy cafe with the favorite smelling coffee in the air, and it's warm. Maybe there's a snowstorm outside. It's like my first episode. Maybe there's a snowstorm outside, but inside the fire's warm, the food is ready, and the seats are cozy as heck. There's bookshelves, it's very rustic feel. I want people to feel cozy and to feel comfortable, feel welcome, feel heard. And there's something that I said in a couple of episodes ago was, you know, in our lives, we always get given headphones and we get told to listen. Don't speak, listen. Well, my goal is to hand people a microphone and take off the headphones and say, speak your truth, speak your voice, let your dreams have that voice. Because a lot of times we feel like our dreams just aren't loud enough, that our dreams aren't they're just not important enough, but they are. And I am so hopeful that, if somebody listens to this episode and they listen to your story, they listen to your voice, and they're like, I want to hire her for my wedding, or I want to do this with her and have her hired on for this. And if we never speak again, awesome. I'm glad I could be a stepping stone for you. But I hope to help you ignite the flame that is your gorgeous talent and your beautiful dream. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, appreciate all of the nice things that you're saying about me. But I do want to say too, like, I think, like, I just love this sort of, I don't know, concept that you have, space you're creating. I think that too often our, perception of success and about creatives is very like, the top 1% of people who are making however much a year doing this thing. And, a lot of people who are perfectly content, working another job, working another two jobs to like say, hey, on the weekends I get to do my thing. And like that's like also success. So I think that like I don't know, I just admire what you're doing. And like I think like we were saying at the beginning, like this, the real driving force of this, of anything, is like consistency. And like I don't know, I'm super excited to see like your journey and like this podcast. And I just think like it's gonna, I don't know, I'm excited to see where it goes. And I think it's gonna do it and you are going to do great things with it. So I appreciate that. And I'm excited to be
Well,
a
I
part of it.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Every creative person that comes onto the podcast, I think of it like and I spoke about this as well in the episode that would have aired 2 weeks ago. It's like a giant tree. And every time that someone climbs the tree and sits with me, it's like they're bringing a vine up the tree with their own creative, beautiful mind, and it's just making the tree grow more vibrant, more beautiful. So, I this is not going to be our only episode together unless you decide so, which is completely fine. But yeah, like I hope that we can all grow together. That we can all, and this is something Ziello said in our episode, was I hope we can all grow together. That we can just be a big, warm community. Because something that in the episode you listened to with Matt, I believe he mentioned, was how he felt like it would be so important to him to have a community of people, like of peers, of people that he could look up to or even talk to and be like, "Hey, listen, this is what I'm working on. This is how I'm doing. This is, what I'm excited about. This is my goal. This is my dream." And that's whenever it clicked in my head. I think around that time was like, "Why don't I make a Discord?" I know that sounds dumb. Who needs a Discord for a podcast? But it's like, imagine this whole podcast Discord full of creatives from every avenue of life. Maybe there's billionaires in here, but maybe there's not. That's okay. As long as we're all loving one another and helping one another and, you know, helping each other grow. Like, imagine the things I can learn from you and I can learn from Ziello and I can learn from Matt and they can learn from you. Like, I'm excited too. Like, honestly, the vision is here. The networking is here. Um, I just mailed out 2,000 business cards and about 2 dozen bumper stickers all across the United States just last month. And we're already seeing growth because of that. Just a little bit, little trickles here and there. But, in Kansas, California, New Mexico, West Virginia, Canada, England, Florida, you're going to,
Mm.
little bumper sticker, give your dreams a voice, and there's a QR code. Who's not going to scan that QR code? Go, I wonder what that goes to, and that's what I'm hopeful for, because there's a little email in that little link tree on that QR code that says, "Tell me about your voice." And I haven't gotten any emails yet, but man, I'm so excited to get some. The moment I
Mhm.
start getting emails from around the world from people, which by the way, I don't know why, but our podcast is somewhat popular in Indonesia. Uh, I can't explain it. Actually, I think I can. I dated a girl for a little bit in Indonesia, so unless she's holding it down over there, I don't know. Uh, she was super sweet. Nothing wrong with it. So, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited too, and I'm excited to see you grow. I'm excited to see everybody grow. I'm excited to see the podcast grow. Um,
I
Yeah,
think too,
it's
like
incredible.
having this space is so valuable for um I don't know, just like teaching. I mean, even if people are, in different creative fields, like, I just have through doing TikTok in the last, 3 months, I feel like I've just learned so much by myself about like, oh, like if you start a video this way, then it does better in the algorithm. Or if
Mhm.
you just something like, because people always say the first 3 seconds are the most important. But what are you supposed to do with that 3 seconds? Like, how do you make it like actually sticky? Like visually, like audio wise, like how do you make
Yeah,
it visually appealing?
I
And
love that.
like,
How do you make it sticky? How do you I love that so much. I am awful at it. I don't know. I have not harnessed the power of TikTok, and I've tried to get like if I can have a social media guy who's like, like Joey is great at it. He is. Even he admits that he has a hard time getting people to watch the videos. I have no idea. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe 26 is too old to be doing this, you know? But
I mean, that's
I'm
how
putting
I
this.
felt. I before this, I was like, I hate TikTok. I don't like being on TikTok. I think it's bad for your brain. Like, I hate it. But I was like, there's so many people on TikTok, and like, this is like, it's just literally trial and error. Like, so what I started doing, like, I don't know, last month or something, I was like, I'm just gonna post ten TikToks every single day. Like, I'm gonna wake up and just post them all day long. Like, I have so much content over the years, and different
10 is incredible. I don't know how you do it. I'm doing one a day and I'm already out of content because I've been well actually no, I have other episodes I can pull from. I'm trying to pull like a minute from each episode and like post it and stuff. But you've been doing this for years, so you have a lot of content to pull from and that's incredible. That's awesome.
and two, like the what I've realized is like people don't see, if I post 10 TikToks a day, even people that follow me might see two of those. Um, so like you're not gonna one be reaching the same audience of people with each TikTok. Like it's just gonna be put out to different people. People aren't gonna see 10 every day and be like, oh my God, this girl is like enough. Because they just won't TikTok won't
Mhm.
do that to them. So, you know, the way that I've kind of it's helped me get over myself sort of like everyone does not need to be perfect. I can post the exact same video twice in a row with like a different caption, or I can post the exact same song but with a different like framing of it. And like people won't see both and get bored of it, or they'll see it again and they'll be like, "Okay, great, I'll just watch this video again." Like if you watch, you watch so much content in a day, people aren't going to be like, "Man, I saw the two two TikToks with the same song." Like that's
Yeah.
how you get people to listen to your song. So,
How dare my ears be graced twice with the best composer of our time? Like how dare?
yeah, I think
Yeah.
like TikTok, like I don't know. I'm like now kind of like not to like get on like a my high horse about TikTok, but I think like it's just trial and error. It's just like throwing mud at the wall and seeing what sticks, like everything. So like
Mhm.
I don't know. Everyone has their different like niche and audience and like content to figure out how to frame it in a way that's effective for the audience. But like I do think that like, sharing with other creatives about here's what's working for me, here's what's not working for me, because drawing inspiration from different disciplines I find is super effective because I think a lot of sort of innovation can happen that way,
Mhm.
in terms of like
Mhm.
musicians drawing from like stand-ups or drawing from like novels or like there's a lot of different inspiration to be had outside of your own like field, I
Yeah,
guess.
absolutely. No, it's like looking up at the stars at night. You've got a million, billion, trillion different stars in the sky, and if you can pull just a little bit of inspiration from each of them, maybe you can learn something from each of them or feel something from each of them, you know. And
Yeah.
that's really what it's about. Everybody thinks that oh, whenever you lose your inspirational spark, it's all over. No, no, no. you can lose your inspirational spark at the beginning and you can just reignite it. You've got to find multiple different avenues where you can pull inspiration from. And if people use my podcast as one of them, then awesome. If they maybe they use your beautiful music as inspiration. I know I definitely do. Sometimes I'll even be like, "Oh, let me go listen to her music real quick because I know that's going to make me fall in love." Because I remember whenever I could play the violin like that, I definitely can't now. Um, if I went and pulled it out, you would throw a piano at me. Like, yeah, it's really bad, but it's all about relearning it. But yeah, no, I agree. I agree, and I think it's really important that we don't listen to the rhetoric of, I don't even know if rhetoric is the right term, but going out and being like, "Oh, well, this worked for this person, so I have to try that." No, no, no. Whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that Joey, like one of the guys who's like one of my first episodes, he was texting me the other day and he was like, "Yeah, I think that I need more avenues of like hobbies and inspiration." Yes, absolutely. And he's asking me like, "Oh, can I borrow some of yours?" I'm like, "Listen, you can try some of mine. I
Yeah.
have a billion different hobbies, but what I want you to do is try things for yourself. If some of my stuff resonates with you, absolutely try it out. But whatever resonates strongly with you and helps you feel inspired, the your path to success is yours alone. Your craft is yours alone. You can listen to what other people say, but remember your drive, your direction is yours alone. You are the
Mm-hmm.
one steering the wheel towards inspiration, towards goals, towards desires, you know, towards consistency, discipline, routine. You are carving your path as you make it. So nobody has a right to come in and tell you that you're doing this wrong. You need to do this better unless you choose to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes both ways. First of all, it goes to an ego side of it because I think all of us can learn if we open our ears. Even if it's bad advice, we can listen to it and go, "Okay, what can I learn from this?" I think we can learn from, and this goes into a whole tangent, but I don't want to waste too much of your time because I know we've been recording for like an hour now. But
No, do it.
if
Do it.
if we can open our minds, open our ears and our eyes to the beauty of the world, the cultures, the nations, the languages, there's so much out there. I can say hello, how are you, in like 2 dozen languages. I can go to work, say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and like 30 people are like, "Whoa, incredible. How does this random white guy speak Arabic?" And I'm like, "Ah, I can also speak Bengali, Kimanochin. Am I good at it? No. But, Nia seo, kong seo, uh, konnichiwa. I mean, that one's easy. Everybody knows that one. Ni hao ma. Everybody knows that one. That one's easy. J'ai pas le vu en français. There's so much to learn out there. And if you just open your mind to the possibilities, it doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. And you should absolutely siphon. You should have a built in siphon. That's what your brain is. Your ears should be open, but your brain, it should be your siphon to go, "This is good for me. This is not.
Mm-hmm.
This person is good for me. This person is not." You know, you pick your environment. You pick the people around you. You pick what you allow to be digested.
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, yeah, I've learned so much from, so many people, and it's been a blessing. It's been an honor to learn so much. And yeah, I wouldn't say I'm cultured. I feel like as an American, like, okay, I don't know if I'm allowed to say I'm cultured, but I love learning from other
Mm-hmm.
cultures. And whenever you sit down with someone and you're genuine with them and you're compassionate and empathetic with them, even if you might not understand them, but if they'll be able to understand your energy. And if you're sitting there with them and you're trying your best to understand them and truly
Mm-hmm.
understand them, you're going to see nothing but love resonate from their eyes. That's what I see every time, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because we all want to be understood. We all want to be heard. We all want to be looked at with love and compassion, you know? That's
Yeah.
that's my tangent. That's my huge tangent.
No, I'm glad you said that. I think like going back to the like inspiration thing and like everyone sort of needing to find their own path and what works for them and what's what drives them. I think like that's super I don't know. I think that perspective is so important just because we are a lot of the times bombarded with all of this, unbelievable content that is just bad for our brains. And I think like dialing in on like what actually speaks to you and like making that a priority in terms of like, the content you take in affects the content you put out. So yeah, I don't know. I agree.
Hey there, this is friend of the show, Anthony Ziello, and I just wanted to say thanks for stepping into the walk-in today. If this episode spoke to you, go ahead and follow the show, and catch us every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. You can find the walk-in on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you listen. And if you want to hang with our community, come join the Discord. We'd love to have you there. A huge shout out to the Podmatch community for having us with them. Their support for dreamers is unmatched. Until next time, take a breath, stay inspired, and as always, we'll walk together again next week.